27 years. That's how long Nelson Mandela sat in a prison cell, not for violence, not for crime, but for believing that every human being deserved to be treated equally. While Hitler expected Britain to negotiate, Churchill made it impossible. He rallied an entire nation through radio broadcasts alone, turning ordinary civilians into people who believed they could outlast the most powerful war machine ever assembled. He pushed through, and they did. Over 600,000 lives were lost in the Civil War, but Lincoln's leadership ensured the country that emerged from it was a different and better one. Leadership isn't just about power. It's about what you do with it, and whether history remembers you for building something or tearing it down. Some leaders changed borders. Others changed minds. A few changed the entire course of human civilization. Welcome to Power of Five. Today, we're counting down 5 of the greatest leaders the world has ever seen, and the one at number 1 didn't just lead a nation. They redefined what leadership even means. Number 5. Nelson Mandela. 27 years. That's how long Nelson Mandela sat in a prison cell, not for violence, not for crime, but for believing that every human being deserved to be treated equally. When South Africa finally released him in 1990, the world expected anger. Instead, Mandela chose something far more powerful: forgiveness. He became South Africa's first democratically elected president in 1994, leading a country that had been torn apart by apartheid toward reconciliation rather than revenge. He didn't just dismantle a system of oppression. He showed the world that true strength is choosing peace when you have every reason not to. Number 4. Julius Caesar. Before there were modern nations, before democracy spread across continents, one man reshaped the ancient world so completely that his name became a title. Julius Caesar didn't just win wars, he reformed Roman law, restructured the calendar we still use today, and expanded the Roman Republic into an empire that would last centuries. His military brilliance was matched only by his political instincts. Even his assassination in 44 BC couldn't stop the legacy he'd already set in motion. The word Caesar would go on to mean ruler in languages across the world, from German Kaiser to Russian Tsar. Number 3. Queen Elizabeth I. When Elizabeth I took the English throne in 1558, almost no one believed she could hold it. England was fractured, financially weak, and surrounded by far more powerful enemies. But Elizabeth refused to be underestimated. Over a reign of 44 years, she transformed England into a naval superpower, defeated the Spanish Armada, and presided over a cultural golden age that gave the world Shakespeare, Marlowe, and an era of exploration that reshaped global maps. She never married, never surrendered control, and never let anyone define the limits of what she could do. She built an empire not through war alone, but through strategy, intelligence, and sheer will. Number 2. Winston Churchill. By 1940, Europe was falling. Country after country had collapsed under the Nazi advance. France was gone. The beaches of Dunkirk had just witnessed the most desperate evacuation in military history. And Britain stood almost entirely alone. Into that moment stepped Winston Churchill. He wasn't a perfect man. He was stubborn, difficult, and had made serious mistakes earlier in his career. But in that single defining moment, when the world needed someone to refuse to quit, Churchill was exactly the right person. He stood before Parliament and said what no politician wanted to say, that the road ahead would be blood, toil, tears, and sweat. No false promises. No comfortable lies. Just the raw truth, delivered with a voice that somehow made people feel they could survive it. While Hitler expected Britain to negotiate, Churchill made it impossible. He rallied an entire nation through radio broadcasts alone, turning ordinary civilians into people who believed they could outlast the most powerful war machine ever assembled. And they did. Churchill didn't win the war with weapons first, he won it with words, with will, and with a refusal to even consider surrender as an option. When historians later asked him what his greatest contribution was, he gave a simple answer. It was the British people, he said. He had only given them the raw. Number 1. Abraham Lincoln. In 1860, Abraham Lincoln inherited a country already tearing itself apart. 11 states would eventually secede. The deadliest war in American history was coming, and Lincoln knew it. What he may not have known was that he would become the man who held the nation together through it. Lincoln abolished slavery through the Emancipation Proclamation in 1863, not as a political gesture, but as a moral stand at a moment when it cost everything. He faced opposition from within his own cabinet, pressure from the public, and a war with no guaranteed outcome. He pushed through anyway. Over 600,000 lives were lost in the Civil War, but Lincoln's leadership ensured the country that emerged from it was a different and better one. He was assassinated in 1865, just days after the war ended, a man who gave everything to finish what he started. These 5 leaders came from different worlds, different eras, different struggles. But they all shared one thing, the willingness to stand for something when standing was costly. History doesn't remember the comfortable. It remembers the courageous. Subscribe to Power of 5 for more real stories of the people and events that shaped our world.